Welcome, agents, to another episode of Prime Tips. This one's a little bit different. You actually get to see me for once. It's been a while since that. And I'm bringing in a friend all the way from North Carolina.
How we doing today?
Of Ingressing, and I know that there's this thing called Bikegressing. I was in Greensboro, and I saw this guy riding down the path. I think when I first saw you, I thought you were a frog, because there was a frog. There was a frog that was in the area that was tearing up stuff. I'm like, it's got to be a frog. But then we figured out what was going on. It was a good time. But I figured you know all about bikegressing, so instead of me taking guesses, I'd get somebody that knows about it. And so that's what we're doing here today. We're going to talk about bikegressing and what it is and why you might want to do it. So I'll turn it over to you. First, you might give us a little background about your in-game name and where you play and all that good stuff.
Well, you can ignore the X's and the handle there. That was just kind of making the scanner happy. Anyway, agent name is Azure. I play in AM02 KILO9, Greensboro, North Carolina. I have been bikegressing basically this entire time. Started back out, and I think, what was it, 2012, 2014? God, it's been 6 or so years. But yeah, I've been in this for quite a bit. Caught it on the year 2 bit, so that's been fun.
Well, the nice thing is you're in Greensboro, so you don't have to go through the snow much. There might be some ice, but not a whole lot of snow.
And yet I wish there were. Hey, I'm a transplant from the north. What can I say?
Well.
It makes me miss home. But I've been cycling around this town and actually in points around for pretty much the entire time. Between cities for field ops, no less, and pretty much anywhere my legs will take me. Last year or so has been a little rough. Been dealing with some injuries, mostly bike-related, some not so much. But getting over those, doctor gave me a clean bill of health. So, yeah, getting ready to get back in the saddle and kicking some green tail. But as far as...
So
sorry, go on.
If someone's going to get into bikegressing, how do you kind of start? I guess you kind of have to be a bike rider to start.
It definitely helps, but it's also, I would argue that it's a great way to give yourself the incentive to get started. Mm-hmm. I would not recommend jumping in and planning to do anything big. Start off small. Adjust your general play area. Now, if your play area is between states, I mean, I can't really make any great suggestions there, but...
It's easy to do in Greensboro. You got portals all over the place. Here it's...
I would say acquaint yourself with local bike trails. Get used to areas where you know you're going to be bike safe. Most places you can theoretically ride safely on main roads, but I don't recommend that as a starting point. You want to get a feel for things, get a feel for your bike, which might sound strange, but you want to know what you can do as much as you want to know what your ride can do. You want to make sure you play it safe, of course, be aware of your surroundings, play by the rules, and try to make sure you have a snack on you, make sure you have hydration on you, or barring that, have a good knowledge of where you can go to find water fountains, public restrooms, gas stations, grocery stores, curb markets. Try to plan your trips around places where you know you can get refueled, basically. Outside of... Sorry, go on.
No, sorry. On a typical bikegress, how long do you go out? I know I've seen you out at midnight.
It is not unusual for me to be out at pretty much any and all hours. I have done upwards of 12 hours in a session in the saddle, which I'll be quite frank, kicked my tail. But it's one of those things where the endorphins make it feel worth it, and the self-improvement aspect to it, you find yourself out there more and more and tired from it less and less. And it builds on you. You get more comfortable with it over time. You find yourself extending your runs, seeing just how far you can take it. As far as what kind of a trip, start off small. Again, you don't want to, unless you're a seasoned rider used to being out for extended rides. Don't say, oh, I'm going to go out there an hour and knock out a field anchor, or I'm going to be out there for 4 hours putting AP up. It is an unrealistic goal for most people. I would say start off small. Say, I'm going to go out for half an hour. Go out for whatever your typical bike ride is. Plan to just get accustomed to the idea of using your scanner while you're pedaling, being very careful of your surroundings, being very careful of what's going on. Try to, like, I live in a town where I tell people I have to be twice as aware as the people around me because I assume they're not paying attention, which is often true. They don't care, they don't look, they don't think. I have to be smarter than they are about what they are doing.
Yeah.
You see ahead of you, you do the quick math, you make adjustments as you go. It's a great way to not die.
So, what are some of the advantages of bikegressing over, say, cargressing or footgressing or things like that?
Well, the mileage cost is a huge difference there. You
Easy
don't have
on
to
the
worry
pocket.
about
Yeah. Don't have to worry
yeah,
about
you
gas.
don't have to worry about gas. You do have to keep your bike maintained, so there's going to be some expense there. But the fitness aspect is huge. I mean, you can sit your butt in a car for 4 hours, and the only thing you're going to get is a numb butt out of it.
That's
But
me.
you spend 4 hours in the saddle, well, you'll probably still wind up with a
You have a
numb
numb
butt.
butt, but there'll be something else to go with it. And it
Yeah,
sounds
but
like you get a double high out of it because you get that
oh
runner's
yeah,
high, and then also you get that high whenever you're taking out that portal that blocks the frog or makes the field or something else like that.
oh
So
yeah. It gives. I think we're all familiar with the checkpoint dash, as it were, and yeah, it gives a new meaning to that. I've had times where Google Maps is telling me you're going to make it in 15 minutes. I'm like, no, I'm going to make it in 10 minutes because in 15 minutes it's past checkpoint. You tell me 15, challenge accepted,
and
and
I
I've done
and I
that.
assume there are a few shortcuts that aren't on the map.
Oh, that is one of the beautiful parts of bikegressing is you will find there have been occasions where people have actually asked me, how the hell did you get from here to there in that much time? I'm like, you took main roads. I didn't.
The direct route. Yeah. What about the other side? Disadvantages. I mean, got to be something.
You are definitely going to be more limited in not range, but in how quickly you can cover ground. I mean, when you talk about you have to go across town, you're never going to outrun a car. Just there's no getting around that.
Yeah.
You're never going to outrun a car. Traffic can be interesting, and distance. I mean, you can't go the same distance a car can in the same amount of time under normal circumstances. Yes, you can get the shortcuts through town, the quick A to B, well, it takes 5 minutes by car, I can do it in 2.5 on bike because screw the rules, there are parking lots.
Yeah.
But in terms of just general accessibility, the car is going to beat you every time.
Yeah.
Where the advantage lies is in being able to go where the cars can't.
Yeah.
When there's a greenway trail, and you know that Agent Bartoad is going to have to find parking, get on the trail, hike it, and by the time he's there, you've already taken the anchor, flipped it back, thrown your fields, and gotten the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know you're there. He thinks you've spoofed for all he knows.
Yeah. And I bet it works really better when you're in a dense cluster of portals. You know, if I'm in this car, I'm going around the block trying to hit things, and
oh yeah,
the dense ones you can just knock them out.
Oh, absolutely. You can stop on a dime. You can turn around wherever. You can hop on a sidewalk, cut across the grass. It doesn't matter because, by and large, people aren't going to bother you when you're on a bike. Hell, half the time they pretend you don't exist anyway. So rock it, absolutely.
Speaking of that type of things, equipment and stuff, I'm sure there's got to be some specific things that you probably need. I don't see how you could hand use your scanner and pedal at the same time, although I'm sure those people have tried.
It's been tried, and I did it before I learned what a handlebar mount was, and yeah, it was awkward at best. It damn near caused a couple of accidents initially, and then I realized, oh wait, there's equipment for this. I actually, believe it or not, I started shopping in terms of like Amazon and Walmart were my friends for a while. Mm-hmm. As much as I hate that, we got to go where the things are. So finding out that a handlebar mount is invaluable. In fact, depending on how much of this you do and what your battery life is on your device, 2 of them, believe it or not, is actually a really good way to go. Have one on one side, so you're going to find that you're operating your scanner with one hand, steering with the other, essentially. So your dominant hand is probably going to be operating your scanner. So you put a phone mount on one side of your handlebar, close to where, so for context here, I use a road bike, so I've got drop bars. I have them adjusted to find a comfortable position where I can stay on and still easily move my hand to my scanner.
Yeah.
The idea is that you're basically going to be cradling the phone in its mount with your fingers, and your thumb is going to be doing all the beep boops. You're going to, depending on how your battery life is on your phone and how much time you're going to be spending out there, a second phone cradle is going to be a great way to go. You put that on the opposite side, is what I found to be helpful. And Anchor battery packs do a great job of sitting in that cradle. I actually use two of the same cradle, and over time I wear them out and replace them because it's all plastic. It all breaks down over time. But you put a second battery pack in that phone cradle, and then you just take a length of the USB cable, wrap it around the stem, and there you go. That keeps you going basically as long as you want to ride. The only caveat to that is watch the potholes, don't hop curbs. It will dismount your battery pack, and you will find yourself in an awkward situation where you are trying to fish your battery pack out of traffic at 6 in the afternoon, and people are looking at you like you're out of your friggin' mind, which, I mean, we're playing this game. It's not inaccurate.
That's true. Now, are there any things like generators? I know with older bikes, they used to have the light generator that was a friction generator off the side of a tire.
Depending on your usage, that may or may not be viable. Honestly, nowadays, battery-powered lighting is, in a lot of cases, a lot more viable. They are readily available at most local bike shops. You can even get them online, but I can't make any specific recommendations offhand because I've been experimenting with different options. But ones that use like a USB charging port and are rechargeable that way, the idea being that you can top it off in between rides, you can top it off. You stop for a rest break. Okay, let's plug it in, let it charge for 10, 15 minutes, whatever. That gives us another half hour or so of runtime. Yeah. That can make the difference. That can make all the difference. Because the alternative is you run out of power in the middle of a ride, and next thing you know, you're using the flashlight on your phone to try not to die. Been there, done that. I do not recommend.
Well, I didn't really think about that, but I know that most of the time when I'm in the car, I've got my phone on charge almost all the time. So when I pop out, I'm at 100. But that's different for you because you're eating that charge up as you go down the road. So what about other stuff? Maybe something that's weather related. I can't imagine being bikegressing in the rain to get on a phone.
I will say this. I don't care what IPX rating your device has. You want to make sure you have some weatherproof capabilities. Whether it's a Ziploc bag inside of a sling bag, whether your messenger bag itself is just basically indestructible, which is not a bad plan, especially for the longer rides. But having some way to secure your devices. If you're on a long haul, you're in between stopping points, you're in between portals, and all hell breaks loose. The skies open up and skywater everywhere. You can't get around it. You can't avoid it. There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
You need a place to put your device, because I will tell you this. Even if you have a device that's IP67, 68 rated, is damn near impossible to get wet, that charging port is not the same situation. If that charging port gets wet, it will not charge your phone. It will stop it. It'll sense it. It'll say, nope, this isn't happening. And if you're 15%, you've got an hour to get to the next portal. It's going to be dead before you get there.
Yeah.
I can promise you. So the best thing to do is make sure you have a way to secure your devices from the rain, from the elements.
What about jackware? I know that I had phones that I unplugged and plugged and plugged and plugged. It got to the point that cable just didn't want to hang in there. And I eventually went to wireless charging, which took care of that.
Wireless charging has its advantages and its disadvantages. The advantage, obviously, is the convenience of not having the physical wear on the plug. The disadvantages, there are a couple of major ones. The charge sensing can get a little wonky from time to time, especially if you do like rapid attach removal, so to speak.
Yeah.
You eventually get to the point where it says you don't have a stable charge connection, give it a minute, then come back. Yeah. If you're bikegressing, I can't imagine that working well. I haven't really seen a wireless charger option for that I could honestly recommend.
Yeah, I never thought
that
said, around a lot.
There is a workaround for that. It's kind of a happy medium. There are magnetic breakaway USB charging cables, and what it is the business end of it that plugs into your phone is just a little it's a little module no bigger than, say, a USB wireless adapter that would plug into your laptop, but the connectors on that magnetically attach to the corresponding connectors on the cable end of your charging cord. And that just gives you an easy on-off solution. It magnetically aligns itself. It's almost impossible to get wrong. And if your phone goes flying out of your cradle for some reason or something horrible happens to your cord, it's not the end of the world. You can have a spare with you. You can have more than one plug to it, and it solves basically everything. The downside is they're not always 100% reliable, and finding one that can reliably fast charge a device, which is fairly critical, is the hard part. You may find yourself going through a few models before you find something reasonably priced that really gets the job done for you.
Yep. What about other stuff? I'm sure there's other things that I forgot. You mentioned snacks. That's also important. Get the food, get the water.
Yep, I would recommend granola might not sound like a bad idea, but trust me, it runs right through you. You do not want to have that on an endurance run. Um, Something high potassium, bananas are a great idea, or banana chips. Trail mix is a great plan. You want something that's going to replace salts and it's going to supply you with protein because that compensates for sweat, that keeps your energy going. The sugar in raisins is great for you. The sugar in the candy that they put in there is great for you. It's all about keeping you going, keeping your muscles fueled, and replacing salt because you're going to be sweating like crazy. There's no way around that. And you don't. Fun thing that I found over the course of time, and another cyclist friend of mine actually suggested this. Don't do. So your first thought is going to be to grab a bottle of Gatorade, grab a bottle of Powerade. Do it, but don't do it. And what I mean by that is don't do straight don't do a straight sports drink. Do a 50-50 mix. If you have to load water bottles with it, do half sports drink, half water. And the reason I say that is, yes, the sports drink is going to replace what you need, what you're losing in sweat, but it gets heavy on you quickly. Whereas if you mix it with water, you're going to be going through a lot of it. You don't want that weighing you down. You don't want that. You don't want to feel like you're in your third trimester while you're riding down the road trying to make checkpoint. It's no fun.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. I speak from experience. Do a 50-50 mix.
Mm-hmm.
A hydration pack is going to be a good investment because it means you're going to be carrying all of that fluid on your back instead of trying to find panniers or trying to carry grocery bags on your handlebar or strapping enough water bottles to your bike that it gets you there.
Mm-hmm.
You can carry a significant amount in a hydration pack. Walmart has them for almost nothing. I think $20-$30 out the door, and you're set. You can get sports drink almost anywhere for next to nothing. Pop off at a water fountain, and you're golden.
Yep.
Super easy. The worst part about it is cleaning up afterward, and honestly, if that's the worst you got to deal with, you're doing all right.
What else? Is there something else that is a secret that don't give anything away? We don't want to break OPSEC.
A good pair of shoes, a good pair of sunglasses.
Good socks.
Good socks are always important. You're going to see some people riding in full cycling kit. They're going to have all the spandex wear. Mm-hmm. They're going to have the full bibs and everything. One thing I cannot emphasize enough is go wear what is comfortable for you. Plan for the weather, but wear what is comfortable for you. If your favorite thing to do is go out cycling in a pair of t-shirt and a pair of shorts, you do you. But the key here is make sure you are comfortable for whatever ride you're going to be in. It doesn't have to be the full spandex kit. You don't have to worry about, is this going to make me look fat? No one cares. You're moving. You're not stopping. The person in traffic looking next to you, they might be judging, but it's not, God, how does he wear that? I wish I had the balls to wear that. And also, I'm sitting here in a car in air conditioning, and this guy's sweating his tail off, getting exercise. I wish I were that guy.
I wish I had a little bit of that.
The biggest thing here is it is the incentive for you to get out and go and get exercise in ways you didn't think you could.
Yeah. You mentioned that a bike friend of yours mentioned something. If I was thinking of getting into bikegressing, is there a place that might be good to start meeting those people that are into biking and ingressing? Other than just your normal ingress chats.
I wish I had a good suggestion for that, but I will be completely candid here. As a mostly solo cyclist, I don't really have a great answer for that. Mm-hmm. One thing you could try doing, this is something that's come up in conversation before, is local biking clubs, for instance, group meets, stuff like that. You might be able to sneak a little recruitment drive there. I don't know. I haven't tried it myself, but
if you're going to, make sure that you recruit blue, not green.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Blue, so, have you biked for an anomaly or an operation or something like that?
Yes, I have done both. I have been bike team in varying capacities on anomalies. I have been the guy who gets simply sent where traffic can't readily get to. I
Mm-hmm.
have been the guy who just rides to random hard to reach places and blows crap up. And I have sat there waiting for instructions. So
Yeah, yeah.
very mixed experiences. I mean, every anomaly is going to run differently. Bikes get used in different capacities depending on the scenario. So
Mm-hmm.
it kind of gets to be used flexibly, and it. The idea is you want to put your strengths and your abilities out there so that your dispatch, your team leads know how to use you effectively. Doesn't always work. Sometimes things go to hell in a handbasket, and there's no coming back from that. But
Yeah,
everything is a learning experience.
yeah,
You don't lose. You win or you learn.
yeah. I noticed that in Chicago. I mean, the bike teams, you just didn't see them, and all of a sudden, shoot, they went. It was you never saw them until they were in motion, and then they were always in a hurry going somewhere. So
If you see the bikes, they're doing it wrong.
they're doing. That's pretty much right. I always saw them going away from me, not coming towards me. So, got anything else you want to add?
As far as ops go, you had mentioned part of this ties into getting used to yourself, getting used to your ride, and feeling out your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Going on ops is a great way to extend your reach, to get a feel for what you can and can't do, to get a feel for how long it takes you to do things, and to kind of start creating goals. For instance, you might say, all right, I'm going to leave here at noon with the intention of having a field operation completed by 5 p.m. Now, the key to that is pacing. You don't go all out. You don't go crazy from the beginning. You want to save your energy for the big stretch, for the big checkpoint dash. Over the course of time, you want to, I mean, you still want to set goals. You still want to say, I don't want to be sitting here all day farming keys for one portal.
Yeah.
You want to plan to have enough time to get everything done, ideally with a buffer so that, oh, well, if I know it's going to take me 4 hours to get all the prep work done and I've got 5 hours of checkpoint, well, hell, I better get going now because I want to make sure that if a train crosses my path and I don't have an easy workaround. It's happened. Again, speaking from experience.
Yeah.
If traffic reroutes in downtown, you got to go 4 blocks out of your way. It doesn't sound like much, but when you've got a lot of traffic to contend with and you can't hop the sidewalk because pedestrians are walking along, it messes up everything.
Yeah.
You want to have a buffer in. You want to make sure you want to have more time than you need.
Yeah. And I think
Because you're going to need more time than you have every time.
I think that's just the way of ingressing. I know that I go through and I plan an operation or I'm doing a solo or something and I figure, okay, this is going to take me an hour. Better plan for an hour 45 minutes. And sure enough,
Oh, absolutely.
I've got 10 minutes left when I'm done. So
And starting out, don't do checkpoint rushes right off the bat. Get a feel for your area, get used to what you can work with, explore, find new places, which is, again, what the game is all about is exploring, finding new places, learning new things. Find areas that you think, hey, I might be able to work with this. Go look for some parks that don't have night access, and preps and do a quick walkthrough at half an hour to closing time. The idea being you can learn to use what you have at your disposal to the best advantage for you, for your team, for the overall goal. You don't want to just be piddling around for no reason and wondering what did I just spend the last 3 hours doing.
yeah.
It's a lot of work, but there's a huge payoff. There's a huge benefit to it, and you feel great for it. And that I cannot recommend enough.
Yep. Well, I thank you. I mean, you brought up a bunch of things that I would have missed. And I will definitely hit you in comments when I'm back down to Greensboro. We'll make it a little
Absolutely, happy to have you.
a little more blue. So that I don't know with COVID. Has COVID affected much?
It has in some ways. Well, the thing is that initially it got interesting because they started putting travel restrictions in place.
Mm-hmm.
Like you didn't dare go across state lines because you had no idea what your neighbors in Tennessee or Virginia had going on for travel restrictions there, and you were always concerned, oh, is a cop going to pull me and start asking questions? Even within cities, initially they started putting what's the word I'm looking for? Curfews. They started putting curfews in place. You couldn't be out after X time unless you had a really good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you had them, sometimes you started coming up with excuses, but heck, I started having to go between towns to pick my kid up from her mother's house. And that I would use that as an excuse. Oh, hey, I'm going to hit this field anchor while I'm on my way. Maybe I adjust my route a little bit. I don't go directly there. Do not pass go, definitely kill, definitely get to 2 million AP, that sort of thing.
As long as you can convince that cop that, point A to point B, I'm going through C, but I'll make it there.
Oh, I heard the radio said there was traffic, so I took a slight
I went
detour.
this way with it. Yeah.
40 miles the other direction. Hey, I don't ask you how you do your job.
I got a little lost. Okay, well, thank you, Azure. Again, I hope to see you soon. And everybody else, hope to see you in the field soon.
Take care.